Welcome, parents, teachers, distinguished and honored guests, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2020. I know we all had imagined this day and what it would be like, dressed in our gowns, hearing our Connect teachers call out our names, hoping we don't trip and fall while walking across the stage. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hoping to be standing in front of you and your families with the special gold sash, talking about how far we've come and seeing all of us together one last time. I know this is not the graduation we all imagined. However, let's not forget, we are still graduating. We still grew throughout the 13 years of our education. Every single day, we still managed to walk through those dark gray glass doors, sit on our stadium steps, and hear those same bells after every period. We showed up. We earned this, and now it's time to celebrate. Nothing, not even a global pandemic, can take that away from us. We are still the graduating class of 2020. When trying to write my speech, I had a lot of crazy creative ideas, and after putting them all down on paper, reflecting upon them, categorizing them, stressing over them, and attempting to connect with all of you, I realized I was going through the process of design thinking. It is a method of problem solving, often used by designers. However, it can also be implemented within our everyday lives. Tim Brown, the CEO of IDEO, a design thinking company which I had the privilege of visiting a few years back in San Francisco, once stated, "Design is all about learning from doing. That's how we evolve to the best solution. Build bridges of insight through empathy, see the world through the eyes of others, understand the world through their experiences, and feel the world through their emotions." Design thinking contains several steps, all of which I felt really aligned with our experiences in high school. The first step of design thinking is to understand, through empathizing and defining. During grade 10, we had the opportunity to empathize with new faces and define who we wish to be as new high school students. In biology class, we learned that the human body strives for homeostasis, which is a state of perfect equilibrium. However, when something changes, it really puts us to the ultimate test of survival. And that is what happened on September 4th, 2017. We were fresh out of junior high, right after summer break, not having a clue what to expect. Frightened by our newfound responsibilities and workload, but also excited for the freedoms that came with being a high school student. I'm sure we can all relate with attempting to manage year-long classes, being overwhelmed by the amount of choice for options, and getting lost trying to find our new classrooms. Grade 10 taught us genuine growth is not possible unless we face adversity. The one thing that stands out about being a Mandela student is that we are not alone. We can all empathize with each other about what we've learned and allow our experiences to help us evaluate and redefine who we are. Grade 11 was time to explore, or as a design thinker would suggest, a time to go through the second step of design thinking, the process of ideation and prototyping. Even though it feels like a blur now, grade 11 was the year we tried new things. We were no longer at the bottom of the food chain and closer to having to decide our futures. So we explored our options. Some things worked, other things didn't. However, through it all, we learned to step outside our comfort zones. We learned to persevere and be resilient, as well as use failure as motivation to work even harder. Whether it be within our academic classes, clubs, sports teams, or fine arts, the special thing about grade 11 is that we were able to take a risk. And if we didn't get the results we wanted, we still had time to make a change or try again. And even if we weren't happy with some of our choices, ultimately, they made us who we are and taught us a bit about ourselves. When you're out in the world trying new things, you are at your most vulnerable state. So recognize your relationship with yourself. And remember, it's always better to be an outsider than to conform to societal standards and expectations. So, through the process of ideation and prototyping the person you hope to be, you will find individuals that appreciate you for who you are, and you will find a place where you fit in. And now, grade 12, time for us to undergo the third step of design thinking, materialized through testing and implementing. This involves continuously returning to the people in your life for feedback. Finally, now is the time to put your vision into effect. After we learned to cope with senioritis and our crowded hallways, grade 12 was a journey filled with making decisions that will impact our futures. During this time, we learned that regardless of what we choose to do, we must do what we love and ensure that we are not just average, but instead exceptional. Whether it be taking a gap year to work, chill, or figure yourself out, going to university or college, joining the military or doing trades, we all began to question whether or not we were good enough and what we were going to do with the rest of our lives. The series of mental breakdowns officially commenced. And to top it all off, we had to deal with a year filled with crises like Australia burning, potential World War III, the death of multiple artists and athletes, and of course, the infamous coronavirus pandemic. At least we have TikTok and memes to keep us distracted and entertained. Now, as much as I've been looking forward to this day, I've also always disliked endings. The last day of summer, the final chapter of a good book, the end with a close friend. But leaves fall, stories end, and eventually need to let go and close the book. Today feels like one of those days for us, where we say our goodbyes. I mean, at the time, little did we know that our first day of high school will never come back again. The days we were once filled to the brim with anxiety and fear are now gone, and only a faint memory. This may feel like the end, but think about how many endings you've faced in your life. And in each of the endings you have faced, given some time for adjustment, I'm sure we can all agree you were presented with something sweeter than what you left behind. The best thing about design thinking is you are never truly finished. It's a cycle. So once you think you're done, you start all over again. But this time with newfound knowledge and experiences, this time you're just a little bit more ready to take on the next challenge. So don't think of this as the end, but think of it as the beginning of a new cycle. So, through empathizing, defining, ideating, prototyping, testing, and implementing, while also taking time to reminisce upon our earlier memories and reflect on what they've taught us, we're able to reinvent ourselves and become the pioneers of our future. Now, what kind of valedictorian would I be without ending my speech with a quote from Nelson Mandela? To let go is not to criticize and regulate anyone, but to try to become what I dream I can be. To let go is not to regret the past, but to grow and live for the future. And now it is time for us to let go. Today, let's put all the labels we've given others and given ourselves aside. Today, we are all united. Even though the world we live in is plagued with dangers, we still did it. We managed to graduate. Class of 2020, this is your day. Congratulations. Although we don't get the goodbyes filled with the hugs and tears we've always dreamt of, this is just the beginning of our lifelong stories. Thank you.